Welcome to another edition of TM3 Impact. I'm super excited. I have Craig Smith, the Director of Corporate Partnerships, here with us today. Craig, welcome to TM3 Impact, my friend.
Tomas, great to be here, man. Looking forward to this.
Man, I'm looking forward to it. We started talking a little bit before, and I can't wait to get back on that topic, but we'll get back to that. All right, we had already did a little pre-show talk. Craig, we always start out, I want to know Cliff Note version. How did you come to live in this amazing city, San Antonio, Texas?
Wow. Well, great question. So I've lived in San Antonio since February of 98.
Okay.
Yeah, almost 24 years. And kind of my birth date of San Antonio is originally from North Carolina.
Okay.
I was a NASCAR fan. And I sat around with my buddies and I watched Dale Earnhardt win his one and only Daytona 500. Loaded up the U-Haul truck and moved out here the next day. So I've been here since February of 98 to take an operations job at the time with what was known as the Westin Texas Open. Westin Hotels was our title sponsor.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. So, okay, so college, what you studied? Tell me what you studied in college.
Business.
Business.
You know, unless you're going into science or engineering or something like that, you kind of default to business. And then you usually end up in sales.
And so they said, hey, we've got a tournament, West Texas. Say it again. What was the name of it at that time?
It was the Westin Texas.
Westin.
When it was a Westin La Cantera resort.
Okay. So Westin Texas Open, you come out and what were you going to be doing? What were they hiring you to do? Sales?
They were hiring me to do operations at the time.
Gotcha.
And so a little bit of back channel on that, Tomas. Grew up in North Carolina. Went to NC State. My dad was an NC State fan. Jimmy V, all that kind of stuff. Loved the Wolfpack.
Hated Tar Heels. Hated Duke.
Still don't like Duke. In fact, I can be at Lifetime Fitness and I'll have an NC State shirt on and somebody will come up to me and they'll go, hey, did you go to NC State? And I'll go, yeah. And they go, I went to Duke. And I usually say, yeah, State's a lot harder to get into these days. And they just walk away. So don't love the Blue Devils at all.
I love it. I love it.
So graduated, with a 2.5 in business.
Okay.
It was a 2.5 in business. 2.5. You can do anything, but you really can't do anything. So moved back to my hometown, Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Got a job selling Buicks because I'm pretty good with old people. And as I get older, I realize I'm really good with old people because I'm becoming one of those Buick buyers. But anyway, so I sold Buicks for a couple of years.
Okay.
And decided, you know what? I want to kind of shift gears. I want to get into sports marketing.
Interesting.
So I went and
that was right after college or during college?
That was 2 years after college.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, 2 years after college. Okay. And I'm not going to tell you what year I graduated from college. I've got plenty of gray hair, so I'm sure you can figure that out.
Yes.
But anyway, so I got into, I went and talked to this lady, and she said, I've got a job for you in sports marketing. It was basically working at a steeplechase.
Oh, get out.
Which is a horse race up and down the East Coast. And I didn't know anything about horses, but I went out there and did manual labor for 2 months. I ran will call, and they said, you did a pretty good job for us. Would you like to help us out with the golf tournament this fall?
Oh, interesting.
And Tomas, I'm going golf.
Wait, so hold on. You didn't play golf growing up?
No.
At all?
It was putt-putt, and it was the par 3 course at Myrtle Beach every summer for vacation.
Get out.
Yeah.
I would have thought you've been a golfer your whole life.
No, and my next-door neighbor, longtime family friend, won the North-South Amateur big tournament in North Carolina and South Carolina. Went to NC State golf scholarship. Great player today, but I didn't grow up playing golf.
Interesting.
In fact, I say golf. That's kind of boring, and you have to be quiet too. I don't know about that, but they said, don't worry, we're just going to have you drive a forklift, and we'll keep you behind the scenes. I said, oh, okay, that's fine. I'll do that. So as it turned out, this big public facility outside of Winston-Salem, North Carolina, hosted a steeplechase, but they also had 2 championship golf courses.
Oh, wow.
So the company that managed the steeplechase also managed what was known as the Vantage Championship at that time, which was the senior PGA tournament. And that was a big senior PGA Tour event.
Interesting.
Huge event. Called R.J. Reynolds Tobacco Company. Was headquartered in Winston-Salem. And so that's kind of how I got into the business. Was really more kind of fell into it. I didn't grow up with a love of golf, but I certainly love to play the golf game today.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I started out with the Vantage Championship and did that for a couple of years, and then left to start what was going to be known as a a developmental tour, almost like a Corn Ferry tour for seniors.
Okay. For seniors, okay.
Did that for a couple of years.
Okay.
Then kind of got out of that. Went to Charlotte to the Junior Olympics.
Yeah.
Which it's a natural progression from senior golf to the Junior Olympics.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Everybody does that, right? Makes a ton of sense. And did that. And then after that, I did a golf project and just happened to meet a guy who said, hey, they're looking for somebody in San Antonio.
And now stop right there.
Yeah.
So let's. This is. I want you to just go back in your that point when the word San Antonio hit your mind, not knowing. Obviously, you've lived here for how long now? Since '98.
Yeah, since '98. Yeah.
At that moment when you heard San Antonio, what popped in your brain?
No idea.
Exactly.
No idea.
Where is it?
Yeah, the Alamo, and that's it, right?
Did you know about the Alamo at that point?
I knew about the Alamo, but Riverwalk and all that kind of stuff,
Okay.
I was oblivious to that.
Isn't that
I didn't know
interesting?
about Luxury Home Magazine. I
Right.
didn't know about Tomas Martinez. I
Right.
didn't know about any of that stuff then.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so at that moment, were you like, let's go to San Antonio? Were you all in? Did you just say let's go for it?
Well, I was in between jobs at the time.
Ah, okay.
And so when I came down here and interviewed, great team.
Yeah.
Super nice people, very friendly people. But I tell this story that at that time, Westin Hotels was our title sponsor.
Yeah.
They committed for 3 years, 98 to 2000.
Okay.
And they were a great team, but they were being bought out by Starwood. So they were just worried about whether they were going to have to move from Seattle, Washington to White Plains, New York. So they didn't really activate the tournament or get real involved with the tournament. La Cantera, we know, is a very fun resort course.
Did they play the resort course or did they play Palmer?
Played
Palmer.
resort.
The
Played
resort course.
Played resort course.
Wow.
Which is super fun. Getting a cart and ride 18, blast.
Yeah.
But
Walking
from
that?
walking, caddies carrying 55-pound bags, not
That's
that
tough.
fun. Not
Yeah.
that fun.
Is that equivalent to walking is up and down like the Masters? Or is it more?
I think it's more.
It's more than the
I think
Masters.
it's
Because
more.
I hear that Masters is hard going up and down. I've never been, but
Yeah. And then the Masters, I don't think you have as much distances from greens to tees like
okay,
you have
yeah.
at La Cantera. So we were like shuttling players everywhere. We had the biggest cart bill on the PGA Tour by far at
Okay.
that time. And then we were also opposite the President's Cup or a Ryder Cup every year because we were a small tournament trying to stay alive in this big league sport.
Yeah.
So I joke with my buddies that the only person who would take an ops job with a PGA Tour event with not a great title, not a great course, and not a great date is somebody who graduated from NC State with a 2.5 in business and didn't have a job. Sign me up.
I'm ready.
I'm going wherever.
I love it. So you get down in 98,
Yep.
move down here. And
Yep.
did you fall in love right away with San Antonio? Isn't this an amazing city?
It's a wonderful city. It's
Such a
a wonderful
good city.
city. It's a wonderful city.
And when
Yeah.
you bring all, like, when I would imagine some of the big sponsors or partnerships, people that have never gotten a chance to enjoy our city, and you bring them now out at the JW and they get to experience the city, does everybody have the same reaction?
I think the people who've never been here before or maybe been to Texas are just so amazed at what this community feels like.
Yeah.
The hospitality, the vibe you get from the time you arrive at San Antonio International Airport and you go to the JW Marriott or you go to the La Cantera Resort or Hot Hill Country.
Yeah.
We're just blessed with so many wonderful amenities and attractions. But it really starts with the people,
It's the people.
and the people are just, they welcome our guests with open arms. Visit San Antonio does a great job telling that story, and we're here to support their efforts.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Love San Antonio.
So I always like to go back because, I feel like, that 16-year-old self that coming into your 16-year-old life, go back to that time frame, right? Like, what do you think, what do you remember lessons learned back then that help you today?
Wow, back when I was 16.
When you're 16, high school, what lessons learned that you look back on that go, man, that made an impact, or this person made an impact?
Gosh, great question. There were a lot of people that I lost my dad at a young age. I was 10.
Okay.
And he had a heart attack and passed away unexpectedly. So, there were some male figures in my life that probably made the biggest impact on me, particularly at those kind of formative years, from teaching you to drive to maybe learn how to drink a little beer.
Yeah.
Maybe, at that time, the
Yeah.
drinking age was 18.
Yeah.
So 17, you're kind of getting ahead of the curve a little bit.
Right.
So I had some mentors from that perspective as well. But, I think the people in North Carolina and the people in San Antonio are pretty similar. You kind of stay in the South to this portion of what some people call the Southwest.
Yeah.
Everybody's just genuinely friendly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
So 16, I always look back when in that age, and I was a big sports guy. Were you a big sports guy? Did you play a lot of sports?
I was a big NASCAR fan.
Okay.
My dad went to NC State. I grew up as a Wolfpacker, so
yeah.
I was a big ACC basketball fan, ACC football fan.
Awesome.
Yeah, still am.
Awesome sports. Yes.
Yes.
And I still remember seeing that. I remember that game when they won.
Yeah.
I mean, did you watch that game when they won the national championship?
I was actually a senior in high school that year.
Okay.
But I'd gone down to Raleigh and was staying with some buddies of mine who were freshmen at NC State. So I was on the Brickyard April 4th, 1983. And, Tomas, I still have the T-shirt. And, Terry Gannon, who does a lot of golf broadcasts, he also does figure skating and some other sports.
Yeah.
If he ever does the Golf Channel early round broadcast for the Valero Texas Open, I have my T-shirt. I will throw it on, and I will jump in the booth with Terry Gannon because he was a starter on that team for Jimmy Valvano.
Yeah, that is so cool.
Yeah.
What a great memory.
Yeah,
that's a great memory.
Awesome.
So let's go to let's talk Valero, the Valero Texas Open. I mean, I'm representing today. I'm a big fan of the Valero Texas Open. Love it. Talk me through just the progression of where it was and now. I mean, the amount of, so tell me what amount of the charity, right? Because explain to people, because I don't think people really understand that San Antonio raises we're the highest in donations out of almost every tournament. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yes.
We raised a record $22 million.
Okay.
From the 2022 edition of the Valero Texas Open.
So the one we just had.
Yep.
$22 million raised for charity.
Right. $209 million cumulative since the tournament's inception back in 1922. And of that $209 million, $204 million of that has been raised since Valero became title sponsor in 2002.
So 2002
that
to
was
this
the
year, the last
year.
20 years,
yep.
You've been on a ride.
Yeah, because the first 3 years I was here, we were just trying to stay alive on the PGA Tour. And the PGA Tour is like, we're not really sure San Antonio is the best market.
Yeah.
Maybe you guys are more suited for a Champions Tour event. We had a Champions Tour event at the time.
Yep.
And just the corporate base, as we know, in San Antonio is not large compared to a lot of other big cities that host professional sporting events. So 2000 was Weston's last year's title sponsor. 2001, we didn't have a title sponsor. And we were written off. And I think that if the PGA Tour had another community that had a title sponsor ready to go, had a golf course ready to go, had all the amenities, I think it would have been gone.
So we could have lost the Valero Texas Open in 2001.
We could have lost the Valero Texas Open in 2000.
So where did you play it without a title sponsor?
We played it at La Cantera and USA Real Estate Company. It was called the La Cantera Texas Open. La Cantera was owned by USA Real Estate Company. Yep. So a lot of companies in town just stepped up to do their part. Wow. And it was the fall of 2001 that Valero acquired Diamond Shamrock.
I remember that. Yep.
And the CEO at the time was a very generous man, Bill Greehey.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Philanthropist here in the community.
Oh, yeah.
And he had said that if he ever got retail, he'd like to become title sponsor. So Valero became our title sponsor, and it's been an amazing run. He committed to be title sponsor for 3 years.
Yeah.
And the PGA Tour said, well, you guys have still been kind of shaky a little bit, not sure. So he went ahead and exercised his 2-year option. So he essentially had a title sponsor for 5 years.
Wow.
As the first jumping off point with Valero.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
So explain how a PGA tournament works in the sense of the charitable donation. Like, how does that, I've always been curious, is like, as the money is all coming in from the different sponsorships, right, how they direct that. Does Valero get to direct that out into the community? Does it all stay in San Antonio? And does every city kind of like, they have their own person like yourself that kind of breaks that out as far as the money donation?
Yeah, good question. So of the $22 million, and we are a 501c3 nonprofit.
Okay.
Nonprofit. So what we do is we try to, as the event managers, we try to manage the tournament to the standards that Valero has, which are very high.
Yeah.
That the PGA Tour has, that our sponsors have.
Yeah.
that all of our tournament patrons have, with the thought process that if we invest and build value in the tournament, we may not be able to give quite as much to charity today. We want to give away more money to charity tomorrow.
Right.
So we're always trying to find that balance between when do we invest in spectator amenities, sponsor amenities, versus when do we give to charity.
Right.
Does that kind of make sense?
No, that makes sense. 100%.
Yeah. So we're building value from a long-term perspective.
Yeah.
Of the $22 million, about 50% of that's raised through a program we have called Champions for Charity.
Okay.
Which is open to any 501c3 nonprofit from Austin down to Corpus.
Okay.
And those organizations are using the Valero Texas Open as a fundraising tool.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And so that's one way that the money's raised.
Yeah.
The other way is just, we get sponsorships, we get concession money, we get ticket sales. That all goes into the pot.
Of the $22 million.
Right.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's a portion of it. And then also some of that money, Valero has a big charity tournament the Monday after the Valero Texas Open, the Benefit for Children, which is on AM and PM shotgun on 13 different courses.
Oh, my goodness.
Plus
across the city.
Across the city, plus the people that want to donate and don't want to play golf, they can go into the gun club and shoot.
Yeah.
So the Valero business partner community has been very generous and also helps to get to that $22 million. Now, a lot of those dollars do stay right here in San Antonio and South Texas, but Valero has a business operation or a presence, a refinery in some other part of the United States. That refinery manager will get some nickels that he or she can share with the boys and girls.
The community in that area.
Yeah.
That's really
cool. Absolutely.
That's really cool. Yeah. If you were to, in all your years, right, doing this, so 25 years, right? 25 years. Yep. Look, think of, obviously you get connected to some of these charities. What's the biggest impact that you've seen from these dollars on these charities?
We go when we visit some of these charities and we see some playgrounds that get built. We see some medical equipment that gets provided. But I think the biggest impact is just hearing the stories from the charities when we have our Champions for Charity kickoff or when we have our Champions for Charity celebration post Valero Texas Open. Hearing the success stories from these charities about how they've utilized these funds from everybody in this community. We touch all parts of the city, north, south, east, and west,
which
inner
is
city,
awesome.
Exterior. Just hearing these charities talk about how they've utilized these funds to help those that need help now more than ever. We focus a lot on youth, kids charities, basic needs. One of my passions is, in addition to corporate partnerships, is I also work a lot with the military in this community. And I really get excited about working with the veterans, with the active military community, and with the military charities like Fisher House, Folds of Honor, Returning Heroes, all these great charities that also need help to support our veterans and their families, because we know when the veteran serves, the whole family serves.
No, 100%, 100%. And when I think back, I remember the first time I went to the Valero Texas Open. It had to be, I don't know, maybe 7 years ago. And I just remember you don't truly understand just how cool it is to see these guys swing a golf club, right? Like just seeing a professional swing a golf club. I don't care if you're not a fan. It's a beautiful thing to watch. And when Rory is in a sand trap and he's 3 feet away from you, like for people, if you've not been to the Valero Texas Open, please, it's a treasure. What you guys are doing for San Antonio is really a treasure for our city. Because I remember sitting there walking with Enzo, and we're watching, Rory McIlroy hit a sand shot on 8 on Oaks, where I'm usually at. I'm usually in that sand trap. And I watch him hit this shot, and it's perfect, and it lands 3 feet from the hole. And Enzo and I just look at each other. And whether you're a golf fan or not, there's something for everybody at the Valero Texas Open. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I say, we are a major community event. We've been here for 100 years. We just celebrated the 100th anniversary of the Valero Texas Open.
Amazing.
But there's golf, there's social, there's music.
Yeah.
This next year, we're looking to add a ladies event.
Interesting.
We talked a little bit about military, right? So we have venues on site for active military, for Purple Heart recipients. We We have a Military Heroes Pro-Am, complimentary admission for military. So there really is something for everybody to come out to TPC San Antonio and enjoy the scenery and the amenities. And I think what a lot of our patrons tell us that they enjoy also is as everybody's watching their nickels in this day and age, it's economical for a family of four to come out and spend not 2 or 3 hours, maybe like most traditional sporting events, but you can come out and make a whole day of it. You can arrive at 8 o'clock in the morning, and then you can leave at 5 or 6 or 7, stay for the concert afterwards, and really just enjoy the whole day in the fresh air.
Which is beautiful. Yeah. And the way that it's set up, I just love how you have all the stands, everything, that the concession area was an amazing setup. It's always, beautiful. Obviously COVID, right? It made things challenging back in, because the tournament, walk me through what happened in 2020 and in 2021 during that time.
Yeah. So 2020 was the year that we got canceled. So it was a situation where we were like all systems go at the beginning of
Was everything built at that point?
Just about everything was built. Oh. All the stands, all the skyboxes. We were all systems go. Met with Metro Health. Everybody's like, well, COVID seems to be just kind of a bad case of the flu. Things were going fine. And then I recall about 3 or 4 weeks before the tournament, it's all kind of a little bit of a fog right now. The Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo announced they were being canceled,
which was massive news.
Yeah, and so we're like,
because San Antonio Rodeo canceled, then Houston canceled, and everybody's like, "Uh-oh."
Yeah. So that was kind of like the first thing that said, "This is real. This is getting close." And then they canceled the I think it was college basketball or NBA games started getting canceled. Jay Monahan from the PGA Tour, they had played the first round of the Players that year in Ponte Vedra, and then they canceled that. So we were like 3 weeks after the Players Championship. So we had everything built. We were all systems go, and it was really the generosity of Valero once again, which really helped to make it palatable for all of our corporate partners, because a lot of our sponsors had paid at that time. And we didn't have a policy at that time about how to deal with this type of situation. It was all new to us.
Right.
So Valero, through their generosity, said we are going to front the money, so if any of your sponsors need a full 100% refund, we're prepared to do that. Wow. And I think we may have been the only tournament on the PGA Tour that actually offered that luxury.
Valero.
I mean, they stepped up again.
Shout out to Valero.
And
wow.
So we had sponsors ranging from, that's wonderful, that would help us so much right now, please give me the refund, to, you know what, we've been blessed, we're doing good, keep the money, we want to contribute it to charity. And then a lot of our sponsors said, you know what, why don't you just hang on to it and just roll it over to 2021.
Right.
So we saw all three of those scenarios, but Valero gave us that luxury, which from a corporate partnership standpoint, that put my team in an enviable position compared to everybody else.
I'm sure.
It was like, hey, we need to go and get this money back today, because we invested in all these skyboxes and our vendor needed to get paid.
Yep.
So it was a very interesting time for sure.
Yeah.
But the goodwill, once again, from Valero shows it's a long-term initiative. It's a long-term partnership. Yeah. And it's a long-term way that we're going to impact our community.
Big time.
As much as we possibly can. That's why Valero is committed right now to be title sponsors through at least 28.
Wow.
At least 28.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So then 2021, you had it, but it was minimal fans. I remember that, right?
Yeah, we had limited attendance and kind of what I would almost call a VTO light year.
Yeah.
We didn't build any skyboxes or any structures to speak of.
Yeah.
But we actually sold designated spaces around the golf course with rope and stake, which was kind of interesting. But people were all about the social distancing and wanting to be around just people that they're comfortable with. Yeah. So we basically thought outside the box and came up with this plan, this campaign that they got us through 21, and then 22 was,
22 was amazing.
I mean, the 100th anniversary, the 100th edition of the Valero Texas Open was
100 years.
Was quite special.
Yeah. So with all this, I mean, obviously you're dealing with corporations, you're dealing with. I'm curious because, like obviously you're in a donation sales kind of role, right? You're helping people donate to this cause, to be a part of it as a sponsorship. Right. I'm curious, after 25 years of doing this, what have you learned through this process that you could share with our audience as far as what has made you this successful? Because Craig, let's be honest, you're probably one of the top in the whole PGA, right? I'll blow you up, okay, a little bit. I want you to hear that, right? Because you've got to be one of the top people in this industry at what you do. And so what is it that you feel maybe that is giving you this ability to have this level of success?
Yeah, well thanks for those kind words, Tomas. It's a team effort, 100%, whether it's the two sellers that work for me on the staff full time, our volunteer Trailblazer group, the volunteer sales team, the Trailblazers.
Yes.
I mean, it's a team effort, number one. But I think San Antonio, as much as anywhere, people buy from people they know, people they like, and people they trust. And that doesn't always happen overnight. Falling off the tournament truck from North Carolina back in '98.
Yeah.
You just got to build those relationships. But I think also, whatever you're doing, whatever your vocation is, whether it's something you get paid for or you volunteer for, you have to have passion. You have to be excited about it. And I get excited, and I think my team gets excited every day about thinking, who else can we share the Valero Texas Open story with? And hopefully we can find a way for them to choose to be a part of this San Antonio tradition. You mentioned the charity. A lot of companies get involved for a lot of different reasons. Sometimes it is the philanthropic initiative.
Yeah.
A lot of times it's for client entertainment.
Yeah.
And I think even more so with employee retention, we're seeing a lot of our good clients that are wanting to do things for their employees. Right. So it's a lot of different reasons why a company may choose to be a part of the Valero Texas Open. And my job is to ask the right questions to understand what their buying motivation might be, and hopefully we can satisfy that need or that want through our various products. We've got a full range of products at price points that will satisfy anybody. No,
I love that. So what I heard is it's relationships. People buy from people.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't know if you know this. It's really interesting. My LLC for my speaking company and my speaking and coaching is KLT. It's know, like, trust.
Yeah.
And I heard that many, many years ago. And that's, know, like, trust is powerful.
Right.
And you've built that, right? I feel like that's one of the reasons that's helped Luxury Home Magazine be the success that it is people know who I am, they like me, and they trust me.
Yep.
And they know that what I say I do, right? But that word passion, right? How do you maintain a level of passion? Like deeply, I'm really curious. How have you been able to develop this level of passion for what you've been doing for the last 25 years?
I think it's partly from the charity. That's kind of the obvious piece right there when you see it makes a difference in the community. But I think it's also just personally challenged. Some people are like, gosh, if we kill it this year, then we're going to have to figure out how to do it better next year. I'm like, perfect.
Yeah.
Let's make it as great as we can this year, and we'll figure out how to make next year even better.
Yeah.
So it's just that drive, and I think that's the Valero way too. There's a saying over on the Valero campus that every day is game day.
Ooh, I love that.
And so try to keep that momentum as much as we can. Every day. And one thing about corporate sales or any type of sales is you've got the chalkboard every day. You've got wins and losses.
Yes.
And hopefully you have more wins than losses.
I love that.
We have a great retention rate with the Valero Texas Open. We're about 85 to 90% sponsor retention, which is pretty high.
That's really high.
But you do always lose a few for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So hopefully you can keep the quote unquote backfilling to a minimum so you can really start building on new revenue, which will ultimately translate to more dollars to charity.
And what's the goal for next year? You already have a goal set?
We haven't gotten a final goal yet.
Okay.
It will be greater than $22 million to charity. I can tell you that.
That's amazing, Craig. That's amazing.
Yeah.
All right. So PGA, obviously, the big topic everybody talks about is LIV, right? This idea of LIV. And I'm always curious because here's my personal opinion is I've always felt like the PGA banged the drum really, really hard of just the negative connotation of it. And I think it gave LIV a lot of publicity, right?
Yeah.
I think it did. But I'm curious from your perspective. Obviously, you're very close with the PGA. You do a lot of work with them in conjunction, obviously, with this tournament. That's a PGA tournament. And what do you feel as far as what this has done in terms of the game of golf?
Yeah. You know, as far as the game of golf, I think the PGA Tour and the initiatives they have done more to grow the game of golf than any other entity ever will, starting with the first tee program. Right. You know, so I think as far as growing the game of golf, that's part of the fabric of the PGA Tour. Giving back is part of the fabric of the PGA Tour. Those are some of the cornerstones that this sport was built on. And I think that's one thing that tends to differentiate, at least initially, the PGA Tour from LIV Golf. You know, as a fan, as a spectator, if I'm not in the business, I want to see the best players compete more often, right? On the global stage. That's why we love to watch the majors, the players, and the Valero Texas Open. Right?
Yeah, exactly. 100.
We want to see all. We want to see the stars compete more and more. And I think what LIV has done is maybe kind of fractured that a little bit, to where you've now got two camps. So it'll be interesting to see what Augusta National says.
Have they not decided yet?
They haven't decided.
Oh, interesting.
You know, and obviously LIV has applied to start garnering world golf ranking points.
Right.
But that may take some time to decide that. So, you know, it'll be interesting as a spectator when I cut on the Masters next year.
Yeah.
Am I going to get to see some of the past champions that are now playing LIV Golf, like Dustin Johnson or Patrick Reed or Phil Mickelson?
Right.
Are they going to be invited back? Are they going to be playing or not?
Yeah. That's interesting that hasn't been decided yet. I didn't know that, Craig.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
So you know, as a fan, I like to see these top guys play.
You want to see
head-to-head more often.
Yep.
And right now, I think LIV has kind of fractured that a little bit. Obviously, the PGA Tour's come up with greater purses.
Yeah, talk about that. You were telling me that earlier.
Yeah.
Talk about they were going to do, was it 15 over $20 million purses, and now they've changed it? Or what was that?
It was going to be initially 13 tournaments.
13, okay.
And now they're going to grow that to 17 events.
Wow.
And they're also going to ask the marquee players to play at least 20 tournaments this next year.
How do they decide which tournaments get those purses? Is that a sponsor that is stepping up? How do they decide that? I'm just curious.
Yeah, part of that was majors. And then you look at tournaments like Bay Hill, which was Arnold Palmer's tournament.
Yes.
Memorial Tournament, which is Jack's tournament. So there were some tournaments. The tournament up in Austin, which is a World Golf Championship event. Yep. So that's how some of those were decided right now. For these next 4 tournaments, though, it will be very interesting to see if there are events that raise their hand. Maybe they have a title sponsor
that steps up.
Or they have some dollars that they can say, hey, we would like to be included in this portfolio.
Right.
Yeah.
How does that work with like a Valero Texas Open situation? Does the PGA, they look at all tournaments? Are they looking for a particular like destination, or are they mainly looking for a sponsor that wants to step up to make that?
I think it's kind of a combination of both, Tomas, but they just announced this yesterday.
So that was yesterday. That's right.
Yesterday. So everybody's still trying to kind of figure that out.
Okay.
What's going to be the criteria? Are they going to be tournaments that are going to be stateside?
Yeah.
Or are they going to be maybe the RBC Canadian Open?
Yeah.
You know, how's that all going to shake out? I think still is yet to be seen, but we know that golf is no different from a lot of sports. So dollars talk loud. Yes. And so it'll be very curious to see in the next.
I do think, and this is, you know, one of the things that has kind of come away from this is that it's restructuring some of the payout, right, in a different way. It's making the purses bigger, right, as far as the PGA. How does that affect? Because one commentator I've heard is that because of the structure and the charity, because every tournament is basically they're raising charity dollars, right? It's every tournament based on that in the PGA.
Yeah. There's only like maybe 3 or 4 tournaments that are not 501c3 status.
Okay.
But they still are raising money for charity.
They're still raising money for charity. So you have this charity money, and if honestly, it sounds like the PGA would have to almost restructure to some extent in order to grow those bigger purses. But that would mean less money to charity. That wouldn't be a good thing.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
So most purses on the PGA Tour are kind of a partnership between the title sponsor and the PGA Tour, right? Because they're co-sponsored tournaments. And I believe the television rights have escalators every year.
Okay.
So they may get greater television or media rights next year, which could help to augment some of these purses. They may look to the local community to augment some of these purses as well. So there's a lot of different ways. They may go into some reserve funds. You know.
In terms of the PGA's reserve funds, where they can start funneling that into the tournament to raise purses.
Should they choose to? Yeah. They did some of that with the COVID year.
Okay.
And so that's a possibility because, I mean, this is a battle that the PGA Tour is unfamiliar with.
Oh, right? 100.
We've never had this before.
Yes.
So it's going to be interesting to see when the dust settles.
Yeah.
What's good for the game? What's good for the global impact of the game? Yeah. And it's going to be exciting times. I like the PGA Tour's chances. Yeah. One thing, though, Greg Norman had always said that he felt like the players were underpaid. Yeah. They were undervalued. And give him a little credit on this one. I mean, everybody's playing for more cash today.
Because of it, as a result. That's a good point. That's 100%. A good point, right? Like he raised the stakes and the for people to turn an eye to that, right? Yeah. It's interesting too. Tiger and Rory just announced their new. And I don't know if it's a league. I don't know if it's a brand. I don't even know. Have you heard anything about this?
Just what I've read. So
yeah, it's like a Monday night league, and it's like a 2 hours format.
Yeah.
It's like, what can you do in 2 hours with golf? I've never been able to play golf in 2 hours, although some of these pros can play pretty fast.
Yeah. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Golf is changing so fast. And if there is one positive that did come out of COVID is golf has flourished since COVID. Whether you're talking about golf on TV, professional golf, the local clubs, memberships, kids, interest. Yeah. It's something that people are really getting back to. This is something that's fun. You can do as a family. You can play outside. You feel like it's safe. Golf is in a very healthy spot right now.
Golf is winning. And that's the best part about this, right? Golf is winning. Yeah. Now, it just dawned on me, right? Like this world ranking situation, isn't LIV only doing 3 rounds for a tournament?
That's correct. They're only playing 54 holes. That's correct.
They're only playing 54 holes, right? Which, I mean, if you watch any golf, right? If you're only playing 3 days, that's a little bit of an advantage for, I would say, for some golfers over other golfers. And you can't compare 3 rounds of golf compared to 4 rounds of golf. So that's going to be difficult to make that for world rankings.
Having 3 rounds and also have very limited fields.
And very limited fields. You don't have as many people playing.
Yeah.
So how many people are playing in their tournaments?
I think it's right around 48. Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah. So these are small fields, 54 holes. So it's going to be interesting to see how that all shakes out. And
48 players is nothing.
Yeah, that'll be up to all the golf sanctioning bodies to get together and figure out what's best for the game.
Yeah. I wonder even why they even moved to 3 days. Just they wanted to give the players, quote unquote, more time, I guess? Or
I think the players just kind of maybe felt like 4 days was a grind.
Yeah.
And so they're trying to make it, quote unquote, fun, enjoyable for the players. So it's thinking outside the box in a whole new realm for sure. Which we were talking about this a little bit earlier. It looks like LIV is going to have some conversations with the LPGA Tour.
Right, you did mention that.
Which will be interesting to see what that partnership might look like and how that changes in the landscape for ladies golf, because that is growing on a global stage.
Massive.
So rapidly.
So meaning the PGA are they not connected with the PGA? Are they not the same entity?
They're separate entities. It's the PGA Tour, it's the LPGA Tour, and then you have the PGA of America, which is your club professionals that are teaching lessons day in and day out, minding the golf shops. Those men and women, they're doing a great job making sure that everybody who shows up has a great experience.
Right.
Yeah.
So then they're talking of possibly combining LIV with the LPGA.
Yeah, that's the initial talk right now, or some type of a partnership which could enhance purses for these ladies.
Yeah.
And potentially grow the LPGA.
That would grow it. That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. Yeah. Okay, so, wrapping this up, Craig, I really appreciate you being on TM3 Impact, man. This has been a lot of fun. I'm curious, like, what are you reading right now? What books have if you were to think of a book that you've had that you've given to other people, maybe on your team, they're like, hey, you want to be on our team? You got to read this book. You've got a lot of interns. Yeah. Tell me, what is it that you promote? You share?
Wow, that's. Thanks for asking that question, Tomas, and thanks for having me on here, man. This is a lot of fun. This is a lot of fun. Yeah, I'm a little nervous with Crystal over there, but I got over that.
Yes.
So pretty. There are a couple of books that I like from members of my team to read. One is one called Raving Fans.
Ooh, yes.
We don't like satisfied customers. We like raving fans. That's so simple, so easy to read.
Yeah.
That's one. There's one called 7 Days That Links Utopia. Golf Sacred Journey. You may be familiar with that.
I do not know that one. Say it again. 7
Days That Links Utopia.
Okay.
And it was written by David Cook, Dr. David Cook, who's a well-known sports psychologist.
Yep. And, I know David Cook.
A friend of mine. So he wrote that, which turned into the movie with Lucas Black and Robert Duvall that was filmed out at Utopia and then at Boot Ranch.
Interesting. I didn't know that. I didn't know they made it into a movie.
Yeah, it's another easy read.
Okay.
Great book. And what I like about that book is it really focuses on the mental approach to the game. There's no swing positions, ball positions, so much as just how do you approach every shot? How do you see the shot, feel the shot, trust the shot? And, it shares David's faith at the end of the book, which I think could change lives for eternity.
No, number one, that's where I met Dave Cook. I went to Oak Hills, and they had a men's retreat.
Yeah.
And I was so excited, and he came and spoke at the men's retreat.
Yeah. He's just a little bit passionate. We talked about passion, just a little bit.
Oh, he was amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, it was amazing. And then I saw he came out with another book, Greatest, I think it was.
Greatness.
There you go.
Yep.
Came out with another book that I haven't had a chance to read yet.
Oh, dude, you've got to read that.
Yeah?
You've got to read that. I mean, I'm a huge David Cook fan, but he takes what he's learned with working with professional athletes and people in the boardrooms over the last 30 to 40 years.
Yeah.
And it will change your life and it will change you in business.
So you've read Greatness?
Dude, I've read Greatness 10 times. 10 times.
Really?
10 times. I love books that you can read in 2 hours.
No, that's always good. No, I'm with you.
And they're written in simple terms, but what David does is he takes his experiences working with these high-performing athletes and makes it relevant to anybody, whether you're an athlete or not, about how you can become a high performer.
Yeah,
I
love that.
And I love the way he defines greatness as basically selfless exceptionalism is how he defines greatness.
Huh.
And that takes it one step further to mean using the gifts and talents you've been provided with to make those around you better. You can tell I've drunk the David Cook Kool-Aid, man.
Well, I want to drink some of this Kool-Aid. I need to have him on the show. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Wow. And he lives here.
He used to live here.
Okay, he moved. Okay.
He used to live here. He moved to Fort Worth area, and now he lives in Colorado.
In Colorado. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's probably writing more books then.
But he is going to be making an appearance, I think, the third week in November.
Oh, really?
Here in San Antonio.
Oh, really?
There's a nonprofit.
Jot that down, Crystal.
There's a nonprofit called iCare, which provides vision services to those that are in need here in San Antonio. It's located down at Haven for Hope.
Wait, aren't you on that? Are you on the board for that? Or you?
I happen to be on the board for that.
Yeah. So, tell us about it. I want to hear about it.
Yeah. So iCare is a faith-based organization.
Yeah.
That really is open to any person who needs help seeing better.
Okay.
That could be anything from glasses to cataract surgeries to whatever you need so that you're more productive in life. You get more out of life. It could be reading a grocery list.
Yeah.
It could be going back to work. It could be playing with your grandkids. If you need help, we're there to be your vision center at no charge if you're not able to pay. But, it's been a lot of fun being a part of iCare and really making a difference in our community. And we have a new program, a new initiative we launched 3 years ago to really try to reach veterans and their family members. And our first breakfast, we had Dark 30 breakfast. We had Sal Junta, a Medal of Honor recipient, come and speak to us, which was phenomenal.
Wow.
We had David Ferry the next year, kind of shook it up just a little bit.
Just a little.
And David was high energy at breakfast.
I bet.
And we felt like coming off COVID, everybody needs an extra laugh, right?
That's right.
So he was phenomenal, very generous with his time.
Okay.
And this year we're going to go with Dr. Cook, who grew up in a Marine family. So he has a military connection, but he's going to come and really just share some of his wisdom.
Can people buy tickets to this?
People can buy tables to this. Tickets.
Okay, we got to. I want to make sure we put this on the YouTube link. Is there a website people can go? Because I know a lot of people in San Antonio know who Dan Cook is. They know
David
him.
Cook.
David Cook. Excuse me.
Yep.
They know who he is, and
especially there's a lot of Baylor Bears in this town.
Yeah.
And David's a Baylor alum. He studied undergraduate at Baylor before he went to UVA.
Right.
To get his doctorate. So, if you go to iCare-SA.org.
iCare-SA.org. And they can buy tables to this event.
They can buy tables to this event.
And it's November 3rd.
It's November. It's the Thursday before Thanksgiving.
Okay, I think that's like the 16th, but double check. I will. Don't worry. We'll put it on the YouTube. We'll let everybody know.
That'd be great.
That'd be fantastic. I would imagine this sells out every year.
It does. It's a great event, and it's a fundraiser for our veterans and their families. Yeah. And everybody leaves there hopefully with
fired up,
ready to go.
No, that's killer. And that's the way people could donate as well.
Yeah.
Can they donate on that same website?
Yes.
If they want to donate.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Now, going back to Raving Fans, I'm curious with Raving Fans, what do you think is the one thing that you really try to help your team create Raving Fans? Because obviously you got an 80-something percent, 85% retention with your sponsors,
right?
Which is amazing. Very difficult to do, right? What is it that you're doing that's creating these Raving Fans for the Valero Texas Open?
I think, and if you've read the book, it's so simplistic, right? It's great. I think listening. I think, there's an acronym, WAIT, which stands for Why Am I Talking? Right? Which we're talking a lot right now.
I forgot about that. Keep talking about that. That's so good. Wait.
Yeah. Why am I talking? So, I think a fabric or the theme of Raving Fans a lot of times is just listen to your customer. Listen to your customer when you're talking to them, trying to discover what their buying needs may be. But then once they've made that selection, listen to your customer, stay connected with your customer through the fulfillment process, and listen to your customer after they've had that buying experience. Because you want to not only have them a customer one time, but hopefully you'll keep them a customer for life.
I love that.
Yeah.
That is good.
Yeah.
That is really, really good. Well, Craig, listen, I appreciate you being on TM3 Impact, and I look forward to seeing you out on the golf course.
Hey, my fun, Tomas.
We're dressed and we're ready.
Hey, bring your checkbook.
I'm ready. Have an awesome day, Craig. We'll see you soon.
Okay, thanks so much.